Hi everybody, Matt Bernier here in the Daily Racing Forum studios, taking a look at the Friday Formulator race of the day, race number 7 from Del Mar. Let's take a look at the field. This is a group of Calbreds going 5/8 of a mile on the turf. It's a non-winners of one other than or in for the claiming tag of $20,000. Head on over to the Race of the Day page on DRF.com, get your free Formulator past performances, and we will go through this field in post position order, starting off with the number 1, Batiquitos. I hope that's how we pronounce it, something along those lines anyway. For Bill Spar, this is a horse we haven't seen in quite some time. Broke the maiden at first asking, looked pretty good, all things considered. I thought it was a beautiful move by Tyler Bays. This was on the dirt in the debut, goes up on the inside, broke very, very slowly, but then saw a little bit of a hole. Tyler took it, went through, and she stayed on quite nicely. For what it's worth, the runner-up Radish came back next out with a 71. The third place finisher, Candy Ruler, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, who's also in this race, won her next race with a 69 buyer, and the fourth place runner came back to win next out with a 66. So clearly it was a productive race. Right now the question is, where is this horse as far as form is concerned? Why have you been gone since March? As well as the turf situation. Dixie Chatter about 12.5% with first-time turf runners, and then the Dam was 3 for 17 on turf. So there are some positives here. You get Bejarano breaking down from the inside. It'll be interesting to see what kind of trip we work out. I think Batiquitos, something along those lines, is actually an interesting runner in this spot here on Friday afternoon. The 2 Bold at Night, no disrespect to Jeff Metz, fantastic conditioner. You just look at this horse and you say, from a speed figure standpoint, a little bit light, and also from a pace dynamic, I have a hard time envisioning this one working out any sort of a comfortable trip. I don't know if this is going to work out quite well for the number 2 Bold at Night, 20-1 on the morning line. The 3 is Secret Thorn for Dan Blacker. We have a positive formulator fact for Dan Blacker. Past 4 years, second off the layoff. Sprint Southern California, 5 for 18. 11 of them have hit the board with a 260 ROI. The interesting thing about Secret Thorn, and this is actually going to lead us very well into the Timeform US Pace Projector, from a pace standpoint, this horse is one way to go, and that's big, big, big speed. That most recent start, I don't want to completely hold that against her simply because it was down the hill, and you've seen a couple of horses come back and do quite well. How about Zero came back next out to run and earn a 79 buyer, and then Wind Me Now, the second place finisher that day, earned a 66. But let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector and see where Secret Thorn is projected to be. Pushing the pace, if not outright on it. And I do wonder, with the 4 Trap Queen drawn just to the outside, if the game plan here for Evan Rahman is send this horse, get to the front, and see if you can take him a little bit longer. That 6.5 furlongs, I think the cut back to 5 should be beneficial. Won the career debut, going 5.5 on the dirt, so the distance shouldn't be an issue, but we'll find out if the turf at this distance, if this horse, Secret Thorn, can get the job done. Trap Queen, we just touched on. Good Journey. It's going to be first-time turf here, about 12% for Good Journey. The Dam is a half to multiple Grade 1 winner, Freehouse, but that was, most of those races were going longer on the dirt. Santa Anita Handicap, Santa Anita Derby. This horse herself, Trap Queen, is a half to Persian King, who is 1 for 4 on the turf. I thought it was a game effort visually. Didn't love what I had seen. That race has come back relatively weak in the grand scheme of things. Now tries winners for the first time, looking like you're going to have some company on the front end. For me, Trap Queen is just not a horse that I'm really interested in playing in this spot. Horse I am interested in is the 5, Candy Ruler from Mark Glatt. Another one trying turf for the first time. The question is ultimately, for many of these girls, can you handle the grass from a pedigree standpoint? Shouldn't be much of an issue. Twirling Candy's hit at about 18% with the first-time turfers. For what it's worth, she was a vet scratch on November the 1st. The Dam, Miles Rules. Stakes winner is a 3-year-old, 0 for 1 in the only try on the turf. But there's a couple of things, though, to keep in mind about this horse. The most recent start looks just terrible on paper, but that race has come back quite solid. Third-place runner, Jenna's Faith, came back to win next out with a 72 buyer. The fourth-place finisher came back to win next out with a 74. And the sixth-place finisher came back to win next out with a 69 buyer. And you go to the run 2 starts back, and I think this is an important thing to keep in note about this horse. 2 starts back off of a considerable layoff. Sat off of what was a hot pace, loomed. Maybe you were disappointed that she didn't get the job done, but all things considered, that was a pretty strong effort. I thought it was a good race there. I thought she could sit a bit of a trip here and work out something similar. The question, again, comes down to the turf. Based on the pedigree, shouldn't be an issue. I think Candy Ruler has to be considered one of the major players in this spot. The 6 is Desert Madam, and she is clearly the class of the field. She's 10 for 32 lifetime. She's hit the board 18 of her career starts. You see 4 starts back, she was in the Bayacoa. 2 starts back, she was in a stakes race at Santa Anita. The big question now is, how's the turf going to go? She's only started once on turf from her 32 lifetime starts. She now goes out for Doug O'Neill. Flavian Pratt takes them out, so that's got to be viewed as a positive. The interesting thing is she's shown some speed in these dirt routes. She's going to get run off her feet. The question is if she can take to the turf and if she's willing to come from a little bit off of it, because again, these girls are probably going to go just much too fast for her early on. Be interesting to see what we get from the 6 Desert Madam. The 7 Mike and Jane was visually very impressive for Kenneth Black in that most recent score that was in her career debut at Santa Rita on October the 22nd. She broke very, very slowly, moved up into the clear she lived, and she absolutely buried this field. Visually, I have no knocks against this horse. Moves up in class, takes on winners for the first time. For what it's worth, Big Bad Leroy Brown, very, very limited sample size as far as his turf runners are concerned. The dam was 1 for 10 herself on the turf. The runner-up from that debut score, Weather Market, came back to earn a 70 buyer. That was on the turf at Del Mar. So I think Mike and Jane has some positives in her corner. The question becomes, at what price do you want to take? She's 3-1 on the morning line. I would need her to float up. I made her 9-2 in here, but I do acknowledge she's a player. The 8 is Irish and Lucky. For low-profile connections in most of Southern California, they usually do their damage at Los Alamitos. But it's worth noting, there's a couple of things to like in here. This horse is a full to a horse called A Little Luckier, who was 3 for 25 on turf, 12 times in the money. The dam herself was 3rd in the Miesk as a 2-year-old on turf. I don't think this horse is a likely win candidate, but this is one at a giant, giant price. There's no reason to think that she can't sit a little bit, make a bit of a run. I don't think she's going to be out there contesting the pace, even though she is coming out of those quarter horse races. Irish and Lucky is one, if you're looking for just balloons underneath, maybe she's one that you would like to consider. And to round out this field, on the far outside is the number 9 Beau Square. Another one in here for Doug O'Neill. Goes back into Calbred Company this time around. I thought that most recent start against winners was very, very strong. At the end of the day, you look and see. She was 47-1 in there. I don't know what you want to do. Little Jude was the horse that was setting the pace that day. And really, there's no other running going on behind her with the exception of Beau Square. Beau Square was in behind horses. But I think you got to go back and just look at the overall form of the race. Little Jude came back next out. 82 buyer. The 5th, 6th, and 7th place finishers all came back to earn 78, 79, and 78 buyers. If you just look at it from a speed figure standpoint, Beau Square is arguably the horse to beat in this spot. Figures to get a very, very advantageous pace. For what it's worth, she's a full to Found Money. Found Money was a multiple stakes winner as a 2-year-old. I think she's interesting in here. 9-2 on the morning line. I think that is perfect. Spot on. 9-2 is what I pegged her. I think she's going to get the pace that she needs. The question is, do any of these other girls take a step forward, particularly the ones coming off of long layoffs and trying a surface that may actually be the one that they prefer all along? The Friday Formulator Race of the Day, race 7 at Del Mar. It's a really, really fun race. You can go a number of ways. Let's take a look and see ultimately where I landed in this spot. And I tip my hand a little bit. I do like the 5 Candy Ruler. I'm not sure that you're going to get the 5-1 morning line. I pegged her at 9-2 as well. I like everything that Mark Glatt does as a trainer. I like the pedigree here. I don't think that's an issue. Drayden Van Dyke, 5/8 of a mile on the turf. Then I think she can work out a good trip. I think you're going to have some other speeds, particularly just to the inside. I think they go. Candy Ruler sits just off. If she takes to the turf, I think she's got a big chance in here. But this is a wide open race. You can go many, many ways. I went 5-9-7-1 in Friday's Formulator Race of the Day, race 7 at Del Mar. If you're playing this race at home, check out DRF Bets. All sorts of good deals for you, particularly the sign-up bonus, $300 sign-up bonus. Head on over to drf.com/fall. The promo code is fall300 to get your cash and get out there and hopefully pick some winners. Race 7, Del Mar, 5/8 of a mile on the turf, Friday afternoon. Scheduled post time, 3:30 Pacific. Good luck.